Okay, it's finally here. MediEvil Remastered. Yeah, a game I was building up for. Really hoping I was able to get through all the games, but, well, at least I was able to get to the important one, which was the remastering of this. And first impressions. Yeah, I was hoping to do kind of the same thing I did, but, due to restrictions on things going on with my living situation and whatnot, made that kind of impossible. So I was pretty much stuck with having to handle it with this. And let me just say right now,
in a time long ago,
I'm
there lived in the kingdom of Galilee
pretty happy with
a
this.
sorcerer named Zerok. This arrogant, pitiless man hated his fellow citizens for their simple and peaceful ways. So he raised an army of demons and set out to take the realm for his own. The king's champion, Sir Daniel Fortescue, led the militia in the battle against this unholy horde. Songs are still sung of how he spearheaded the charge deep into the accursed multitude, how demons fell before him like wheat before the scythe, and how at last, though mortally wounded, he destroyed the sorcerer utterly. Fortescue went down in history that day as the hero of Gallowmere, and a time of peace began, which was to last for 100 years. And then the sorcerer returned.
Yeah. So, in case you haven't noticed, this is very much a remastering, not a remake. But in a way, I'm actually really happy about this. Very happy about it, actually. yeah, so yeah, this, like I said, this was a very well-to-do. This may look familiar to those who watch my video or have experienced the game themselves. Yes, very much, very reminiscent of the original, and like I said, all in a good way. Yes. But yeah, like I said, this is more of a remastering as opposed to a remake, but in a good way. Like I said, it's a remastering in the sense that it's recoded and there's some new things to it, but
It has risen again. Sir Daniel Fortescue, see? The hero of Gallowmere who fell at the first charge. The fog of war and the shrouds of time conspire to turn the arrow fodder into the savior of the day. But we knows better. Let it alone. Fate has given it a second chance. A chance to forget the ignoble truth. A chance to defeat Zarok and live up to the legend. We hopes it does well.
But yeah, again, as you can see, it is very much in style, and just by the voice work, it's pretty much the same game, except, you know, there's a few creative touches here and there, but it's still fairly reminiscent of the original game. This is me just messing around with the controls. Control-wise, it is improved, though not perfect. It's still the, yeah, as you can clearly see, they changed the camera. The one thing I've got to say right off the bat, yeah, I just wanted to see if this worked as well as it did as the main game, but it, like, the camera is a million times better. Like, it's a million times better.
Will be added to your coin total. Coins are used to buy items from the greedy merchant gargoyles.
But yeah, the camera, a million times better. Not perfect. There's something to be fixed, but like, it was addressed, and as you can clearly see, they added this mode where you can kind of go into like this over the shoulder.
When you're ready to leave this crypt, you'll find an exit at the end of the hall. To unlock the gates, you must find a runestone and place it in the ornate.
Yeah, so yeah, you also have this book thing. That's why I'm not really talking. I usually don't talk over the narration, but this time I don't think it's really a big deal because it's literally, as far as I can tell, a lot of this is memory, which I mean is actually kind of good because it just replayed the original game. But a lot of it's literally just a retelling of the original game. So. In a good way. Like I said, I was like really happy. Like, and a part of me is like actually kind of happy they went this route as opposed to making the as opposed to, you know, actually just remaking the game. Like, I'm kind of glad they said, okay, let's take the original game, give it a new coat of paint, fix some issues, You know, I talk about before how much I like hate remasterings and I hate remakes and you know, but this is like a I'm pretty sure people are going to be saying I'm crazy, but to be perfectly honest, I really wish Resident Evil 2, the remake, was they went the same route. I really wish they just kind of took the same voice work, fixed a lot of the issues the game had, but still be the original game. Because this is still medieval. I still feel like I'm playing the original medieval, but a lot of things have been addressed. A lot of problems. I do actually kind of like the life bar thing. At first I didn't care for it, but I'm actually like kind of okay with it now. Like there's a part of me who's like, maybe it's not my first choice, but like at the same time, like the life bar. I mean, not the life bar in and of itself. I do like it in the corner as opposed to the very top. I do like it that better. But everything looks good. You know, everything plays well. Yeah, like the shield now has a bar too, which I guess is better. I don't know. Like I never. Again, me just checking out all the controls. For the most part, everything's the same. It feels the same. It has this. It's pretty fluid. Control-wise, it's definitely a lot more fluid, and it's definitely as well as animation. There's not too many.
You will collect many items.
There's not really too many things. I was like, there's not really much improvement. Like I said, this is like I said, more of a remastering than it is a remake. It's not like Resurrection was on PSP, where they actually did add some new things, for better or for worse. I mean, I'm not necessarily saying these changes were necessarily bad ideas per se, but this was obviously under the impression to do a full, straight-up remastering, and I mean, it's kind of hard to. This is like a very thin line between remastering and remake, because it's two different worlds. You know, the 32-bit era is very different from the current generation. So yeah, this camera mode, I'm gonna mention that. You'll see when you see me in action with it, you'll see why I'm kind of iffy about it, but. I haven't finished the game. I just played the first few levels. That's how I was able to tell that, yeah, this is definitely a remastering as opposed to a remake. And I mean, you can tell just by the voice work. And this is me just trying to get the grasp of things. So, yeah, I was able to figure that part out well. If you've seen my Let's Play or seen any other people's Let's Play, you already know, or played the game, either or, you already know what is waiting. Yeah, I only read all the books just to see if there's anything that was obscenely changed or whatever. So that's why I'm reading all the books, or rather letting the thing talk to me. I'm gonna see if I can turn that off because I didn't really care for that. But yeah. So but yeah, it's all the original voice work. Yeah, you got these little info things that they kind of did in the others. There's the map, very similar, not quite the same, but similar, except you don't have the save option. The game has an autosave, so you don't have that. You don't have to worry about that anymore. There's some weird things they chose to do, but you'll that's something I guess you're gonna have to kind of experience for yourself to see it, because you'll see how instead of following how the original did, they kind of definitely took their own liberties with the map. As opposed to what they did in the original. Yeah, so this is again same opening, same feel. A lot of the soundtrack is pretty much the same as far as I can tell. I do like how you have now it auto locks onto your targets. You can actually lock onto targets a little bit. It's not foolproof by any stretch of the imagination, but still, I was able to appreciate it. It's still very much the old style if you played it. Yeah, as you can see, now you can switch your weapons. You can change between a melee. You can have two weapons equipped. You don't have to. I thought when I first played, I thought it was a melee and a range, but it turns out it doesn't work. You don't have to have it set up that way. You can have it set up as a have two melees or two range, but. Yeah, that was fine with this. But yeah, you can actually change where your little, the wisp, as it were, about. So,
That small light following you around is a wisp. The
Yeah,
heroes
so
of the Hall are not supposed to intervene in mortal
yeah, so it's
affairs.
actually not too it's not too bad.
Fortescue had a shot at redemption.
Like I can actually like put this, like tolerate this. Like I said, if this, I really wish Resident Evil 2 did the same thing. I really like I didn't want to see Resident Evil 2 remade, but if it was gonna be remade, I'd rather they went like a route like this, where they just took the same game and just fixed it. And, you know, recode the graphics, update it for modern times, that's fine. But don't freaking cut things out. Don't completely alter the game to format this new style, which is supposed to be kind of be reminiscent, but not really, because, you know, the current generation is stupid. I don't know. Yeah, this is me trying to use this style they added, which it's cool that they added it. I'm kind of glad they kind of gave you kind of sort of a first-person perspective that you can kind of use, but without really giving you a first-person perspective. They just did the thing. Yeah, I gotta say though, as far as like my own personal preference, I actually don't care for the rejuvenation baths, or energon baths as I call them. But to me, I guess it just seems too, we'll say, modern. Yeah, I didn't I wasn't using my head correctly. I was trying to, because in the original, the thing is just like right in front of it. It's not hidden anywhere. It's not like behind the thing. In the original, it's just out and about. It's like just right there in front of you. While here, it's like, you know, you actually have to go inside the little gazebo or whatever it is, which it wasn't in the original. In the original, it's just right in there in front of you, so you can't really lose it. Yeah, you lose health just as quickly as you did in the original too. It's a little, I don't want to say annoying, but it's just a little thing you gotta kind of put into perspective when you play it. But overall, it plays very smoothly. It's very fun to play. It's like the original game, just updated, and I'm okay with that.
Be sure to take a moment from time to time to enjoy the beauty of our beloved Gallowmere. Keep your eye peeled for anything interesting.
Yeah, so the I do think it's kind of weird how they did the crate, the little treasure chest though. But yeah, as you can clearly see, like I said, the camera is a million times better. Like I said, still not perfect, far from it, but a lot of issues that were annoying have been addressed, and that's more than I can ask for. Yeah, you can charge up the that's one thing they changed. You can actually charge up your melee weapons now, which I think is interesting. At least I don't recall being able to do that with the daggers. I don't think you can do that. I don't think you can't charge up the crossbow when we get to that. But yeah, that's probably one thing I did kind of sort of miss. That I wish that the first remake, Resurrection on PSP did. That I kind of wish they did here, was that you can charge your standard attack. You didn't have to just charge the spin attack. Don't have that option. So yeah, it shoots 3 at a time. So you just kind of one thing you gotta keep in mind. As far as I can tell, all the secrets are exactly the same as the original. Again, as far as like secrets and all that stuff is concerned, it seems like everything's exactly the same. Item placement, key items, little trinkets. The only difference now is that if you happen to remember all this stuff, or you replay the game like I did, you will you're probably just gonna find a lot of trophies now. That's another thing. This game gets a little quick thing out of me versus like Resident Evil 2. Even though Resident Evil 2 was actually a full-on remake, this, you know, would only cost $30. This, like, I got the physical version, which to me is worth noting, because a lot of people, I mean, my brother included, he has a lot of nostalgia for Resident Evil 2 as well, and he was very put off by the fact that they charge, you know, full $60 for it, and then there's all this DLC with it. And when that wasn't a thing, when, you know, it's really just a remake, and it's not really that, you know, it's just of a game. So it was kind of interesting to see a Resident Evil 2 get like that when they. I really wish they when they just could have this, but this is like a remastering, and they charged a fair amount for a remastering. They didn't charge full price. They charge a fair, yeah. That's kind of the problem with this, and maybe like that perspective is better for Melee, going into the over-the-shoulder thing. It probably would have been better as a Melee thing than it is a. Yeah, as you can clearly see, the shield works very differently here. If you played the original game, which actually caused me a lot of trouble, like trying to figure things out with this game. In the original game, the shield is triangle. As you can see, the triangle is now the weapon switching mechanism. So instead, it's now the instead now I believe if I recall correctly, it's R1. It's now R1 as the guard button, and I don't think even now, after I played a little bit more of this, I've been able to get that grilled into my head or burned into my head. When you finally get the dash from the Guardians of the Graveyard, you do get the. It does work well, so yeah. Yeah, everything, but it's the same principles. There's the chalice. The chalice is still pretty much the same. Yeah, like I said, there's aesthetic differences. You can tell they took a little liberties here and there, remedied a few things that were kind of a little too goofy, or maybe they're just like just to fit like the more updated graphics. And I'm okay with that. I'm not necessarily against a few aesthetic changes, but as long as you overall kind of get the same game without like ruining anything or taking anything away from the original, I'm okay with it. And yeah, this is me being stupid. And again, I wasn't. I guess I just couldn't take the risk of knowing what's there. I don't fully. It's not like I memorized the whole map of every single level in this game. So the original, that is. And so I went to recharge when, there's one, like, literally, like, on the way out. But, what's done is done, so. What has happened has happened. But, yeah, so, but, like, overall, like I said, it's all the same voice work from the Gargoyles, all the same voice work from the Hall of Heroes. I think, going by what it sounds like, I think they got new voice work for Dan. I don't know if they just couldn't get, maybe they just felt that the grunts and stuff were a little too old. I don't know, like maybe Jason Wilson just it wasn't cutting it anymore. They just didn't feel like his voice work cut it anymore. Maybe I don't know if maybe he reprised his role. I don't know. Maybe they got Stephanie from PlayStation All Stars to reprise it. Yep, pretty much everything's the same. Entirely, actually. And, yeah, that's, yeah. The Gargoyles, I am kind of indifferent on, considering what MediEvil is like in total, like the entire universe. I guess, like, the more cartoony thing fits. I will say this, they were definitely I like them a whole lot better than what they did in Resurrection. I did not like I thought the Gargoyles were too goofy for their own good in Resurrection. So I'm kind of glad they didn't go that route. They just said, let's do our own thing, go a bit closer to the original, but still have a few changes here and there. Like I kind of wish they just made them more green, I guess. I don't exactly know what I think, because I don't hate them. Like, I don't hate the look of them. I don't dislike the style or anything like that. I don't even know how to explain it. Just for me, I guess I'm so used to either the regular head, I think if I recall correctly, Mike Silk did the voice of the Gargoyles, Mike Silkley or something like that. I think he was the original voice of the Gargoyles. I think if I recall correctly, he also did the voice of Dan in MediEvil 2. Which, yeah, I don't know anything about, if there's plans to do MediEvil 2, like a remastering of that. I don't know if that would be a good idea. Although I do know that I guess a DLC plan. I guess there's some DLC plan where you can get the armor from MediEvil 2. The gold armor, the golden armor. I don't know anything about that. Like I said, I don't know if they're gonna officially release that. I don't know if it, or rather, if they're gonna ever do a MediEvil 2. I don't know if that would be a good idea. I'm kind of indifferent about the idea of doing a MediEvil 2 remastering. I mean, I don't know. I mean, MediEvil 2, like, it would, I would have to give it like I would have to actually probably do a full play of that as well, just so I can kind of really get back on that. Same with like Resurrection. Resurrection is probably something I would have to like talk about that as well to actually truly understand exactly what I feel towards it, because it's just been so long since I played both games, both MediEvil 2 and Resurrection. And I mean, the first MediEvil I played to death, but, well, not to death, but I played it, 2 or 3 times. Actually, maybe even 3, maybe even 4 times, but not including the full play I did. And yeah, this is pretty much the same as the original, same style. And at this point, you're gonna see me some pausing at times because I was showing my brother. My brother was walking in, and he was like, "Oh, what are you doing?" And this is kind of what we were about.
Zarok awaits beyond these gates. The master meets with the demon from the mausoleum, hatching plots of purest evil. Forgotten nobodies would be wise to make themselves scarce.
Yeah, so, yeah, this is where I was talking to my brother, and I was trying to show him, like, all the things the game was. Tell you much what I was saying before about Resident Evil 2, how, like, I would rather have been able to play, like, a Resident Evil 2 that basically stayed, the same game, but just updated everything along with it and fixed a lot of problems the original game had, as opposed to just remaking the whole thing. And, it was, yeah, so, yep, still got the Hall of Heroes. Yeah, that's not going anywhere. They did some changes here, nothing significant again, but it's the same game. Oh yeah, this is my brother. My brother wanted to play it for a little while. Sorry about that. He wanted to play the game for a little while, so he was checking out all the controls, because he played the original as well. He wasn't a fan like I was, but he played and he was getting used to the controls and all the just getting mystified with all the how it was, and he too, like, commented on the camera. Goofy Dan was. Bravest warriors of history.
Bravest warriors from history spend eternity feasting, singing, and arm wrestling. If they think you're worthy enough, you may be able to persuade them to give you a new weapon.
Yep. So that's the game. So. Yeah, he was playing with. He really liked the whole. Look, that's probably one thing I do think is kind of annoying, is how Dan moves his head around so much. Like, I kind of wish he really did just kind of keep his head around, or at least, because that's one thing I kind of liked about the original, is that he always kind of like kept looking at the player, or like every time he turned the camera, he would look at the player rather. And here he doesn't really do that. He just kind of like browsing all around. He just can't keep his head. Yeah, here that's one thing they changed, is that you can actually buy stuff here in the Hall of Heroes. Not 100% sure why they did that, but yeah, now I just paused it, and this is where I think I'd take my controller back and we can move on. Yeah, so that's pretty much all I gotta say, but in the end, if you play the original, you like the original, this is not an insult to the original. They have a few of their own changes. They fixed a few things. They took their own little original bits to it, but in the end, it's still the same game that we all know and love. Except now it's up to standards, modern day. Still the classic hack and slash. Yeah. Now instead of just being transparent, it's transparent, I guess, but it's just a different kind of transparency, I suppose. Yeah, now I guess all the chalices you get will just appear on top of the table. I guess it just what they decided to try that. But yeah.
Captain Fortescue, it's me, Captain.
Shoddy Tim, does the battle go well? How I wish I could fight at your side again, sir. But hold, you could take my crossbow. It's got rapid fire and you can ricochet the darts off walls to shoot around corners. I used it at the Battle of Ganymede. After you were slain, I shot Zarok's champion, Lord Kardok. A clean kill through the eye at some 1,000 yards. Not that there's anything clever about shooting someone in the eye, sir. Oh, goodbye, sir.
Yeah, they don't give you the option in this one. This is when you just get it. Yeah, the crossbow is a little different in this one. Very different, actually. Basically, it doesn't shoot rapid fire. It just shoots at a long range and or long, like, you know, longer range, and it doesn't shoot as fast. It still ricochets everywhere, but it's not the same game. But yeah, I guess the whole having the merchant is not a bad choice, because now, like, when you enter a stage, you can actually make sure you have a good supply of stuff. So I'm not really against the idea of them trying to implement the having the gargoyle in the Hall of Heroes, which you didn't have in the original. Yeah, this is another thing that was kind of bugged me about this. Is just me personally. You can't you can't really use the like, you can't use the D-pad on the map. You know, like in the original game, that's what you did. You used the map to use the D-pad to, like, move everything. Here is the exact opposite. You have to use the analog stick. However, when you play, you can still use the D-pad. Actually, I didn't do that. I guess it just didn't feel right anymore to play with the D-pad. I guess when I play on a PlayStation 4 controller, I just PlayStation 4, PlayStation 3, PlayStation 2. Got to move on to the analog stick, even if it's a remastering.
So, even from the shackles of death, my old enemy pursues me. You're too late, Fortescue. Already my army has risen from the grave. You will never leave this necropolis.
Yeah, I do like how they use the same voice actors. They use the same, not voice actors, but the same voice work, as opposed to getting new voice work. And because it still looks good with the new animation they added for everybody and all that stuff. So I was actually pretty happy with this. This is actually like one remastering, because I was like I was not entirely sold on how well or good or bad this was gonna be. I was still pretty like, you know, might be a little lame, but, you know, we might still be able to get something out of it. And yeah, so this is the full. But yeah, so it's a good thing I replayed this, because there's, like, you can see I kind of forgot some things, and because nothing's different, nothing's changed. It's not like they changed any of the puzzles or any of the secrets. Everything's pretty much the same as it was before. I don't know if they're gonna have any new episodes, jeez, any new weapons. I haven't gotten that far. So far, everything seems to be pretty much the same, with a few minor changes to kind of format the new style. Oh yeah, you can see they kept the they very much kept the boxes, the little explosion boxes. I don't know why I didn't use it there. I guess I was just kind of surprised to see it. I don't know why. It's not the it's still the same. I still think it was. I still like what they did in the original a little better, though. I mean, it's appropriate. In the end, it's still the same thing, but I did kind of like the whole how they added the how, like, it had the little ball and then it just pulses, and then that's when it drops and it has the big bomb. I mean, the explosion, you know, in the end is the same result, but still, it just kind of it just didn't stand out as well for me. One thing I will say is the controls are a little jumping controls. Let me specify. Jumping controls, it's a little weird. Bad, no. But it's a little awkward in some ways. And when you're not gonna see it here, I don't have the footage for that. But like when I played the the last level with Zarok. It was not Zarok, jeez. The stained glass demon. When I first played with him, it was a when I first played with the stained glass demon, there's some parts that you can do because the boss fights is essentially the same. Just a little spoiler there. It's essentially the same for the most part. No difference whatsoever. Yeah, we still got these guys. They didn't get rid of these guys at all. Yep, so there's our
The club is a crude but effective weapon. Bash with it, burn with it, but beware.
Beware.
One
Yeah,
bash
so-
too many, and it will break.
yeah, so these are just a lot of things you gotta put into perspective when well, yeah, anyway, back to the stained glass demon. His fight is essentially the same, but there's like certain things that you can do. Because Dan, I guess I didn't really take a look, but it seems like Dan doesn't jump as high as he used to, or maybe just doesn't hold up, stay in the air as long as he did in the original. Because I couldn't do the jumping when he throws all the glasses in that area, like that widespread area. I really couldn't jump over it. Maybe I was able to do it eventually. But it didn't happen the first time. You know, the first couple times I got hit both times, and I was like, what's going on here? I used to be able to do this easily. So maybe it just doesn't stay in the air as long. I'd have to, I'd have to look at that again.
Fresh air. We hate these dark old caves and their filthy stench of old witches. A coven of the warty old hags lived here once, unholy fires burning all night while they brewed up unspeakable muck in their cauldrons. They moved on years back, but the smell still makes our eyes sting.
Yeah, so I prefer the old. I do like kind of like the old gargoyles a little better, but these I wasn't mad with these. Yeah, as you can see, you can kind of you can lock on the targets. I think you can even change where you're locking on. You can change the lock on, which is a good feature. Again, not perfect by any stretch of the imagination. But yeah, this whole switching thing, while I like the thought behind it, I can't say I'm completely won over. There's a small part of me that kind of wishes they, yeah, again, the only reason I'm reading all these is just because I just wanted to see if they changed anything. Part of me wasn't convinced that everything was like exactly the same. That's the reason why I can't help but like go to all the books and still see if they've changed anything, or if there's any like things they felt they needed to change, or just because they, you know, modernize some puzzles a little bit here and there. But yeah, that's why I read all the books. But again, as you can see, all the secrets, at least from the beginning anyway, like a lot of them are pretty much all there. They're all the same.
If seeking to summon a witch, remember that they are quite territorial. Any signs of previous witch activity in an area is a good indication.
Yeah, so it's telling you the same exact information, you know. Again, if you played the game, you already know. That said, there's a small part of me that wants to check, wonders if they added any of the, because I do know that there was 2 stages planned in the original game that never came to be. One of them actually I think got made though. Like one of them actually did get fully completed. I'm gonna have to wonder. I might have to do a second thing if they ever do. Yeah, but there's like a second video they did where but like there's a couple stages in the original that I talked about that unfortunately that was part of the 2 stages that I couldn't get done, sadly. That I couldn't, well, not get done, but like I messed up when I was recording, so I couldn't, so they're gone. But there's 2 stages I did where yeah, jeez, what's wrong with me today? There's 2 stages I did that got messed out, and now they're gone. I explained that in the video. But in this trend, the level was there was a couple levels that didn't make the cut. One of them was this dragon level. Yeah, this is what I was talking about with this jumping. The jumping just felt strange to me. Maybe I just had a bad angle there. Looking at it now, it just I just had a bad angle. So even in the original, I probably would have still died. Fell in the lava there, but that wasn't what I was going for. Hopefully. Anyway, yeah, this is where I had to like really get used to the fact that the guard is completely different. Are they completely different? I mean, completely different. I couldn't believe how different it felt to me. It was like it was alien having to use R1, which is strange because it's not like that unheard of. And I still wanted to get all the chests and see if they changed anything or took anything out or whatever. Which all of it was completely unnecessary, but what's done is done. So yeah, it's like I said, it's to me it's just strange, the life bar to the shield. I mean, it works. It's just as efficient as it works just as well as the original game with the percentage. In some ways, it's arguably better than the what they did in the original game. Because now this is like since it's all clearly indicated. I wonder if when they add the magic armor, if it's gonna have the same effect. If you don't know, the magic armor has its own life. It basically doubles your life because it acts as a armor. It's not just for show. It's not just like a little. It's not like it just looks better. It is better. I wonder if they're gonna do the same thing. And just like the magic shield, it has to get repaired. So I wonder if they add the DLC if it's gonna follow the same rules. But yeah, I might not think about it. I'm really curious if there's the other stage. There's also one other stage I didn't talk about, the one with the dragon. But there was also another one with a. If you don't know, the only way you're gonna know about this is if you played the original game. And unfortunately, again, the cutscene is gone. That is because it was in the Let's Play, and I talked about it. But there's a worm that lives in Sir Daniel's skull, and he forget what his name is, and he basically had his own stage.
We have failed the master. We give our lives.
Sad when the original game had like a more theatrical ending for them.
The adventurer would be wise to be thorough in the exploration of an area. Hidden locations reap great rewards.
But yeah, so there's the adventure. But yeah, I kind of wish they had the same. I do like how fast it recharges your bottles, though, because that was one thing that was really irritating about the original was, just how long it took for this energon bath to fill up everything. I'd rather just kind of get it and go. So they sped that up, and that's nice. But yeah, there was another stage where I guess like he has the worm. The cutscene is still somewhere. I guess it was extracted from the game. I guess it's still in the game files, and and you'll see him pull out the worm, and he puts it inside his. Yeah, here we go.
Back from the battle so soon? It must think it is a hero by now. But only a true hero is worthy of a place in the Hall of Heroes. See the ghostly statue of your fraudster self? When it has turned solid, a true hero you will be.
Yeah, so basically, like, he crawls through. He was supposed to, I guess the game mode was that he was supposed to, like, walk around the.
Hurrah! I knew it would take more than an army of the evil dead to throw your strides up. I've something that may help you on your quest, Captain. I give it to you freely, though I have no idea what it is.
It's where he says yay or nay. And I don't have that option in this one. Yeah, I just wanted to see what the book said and see if there's anything different again. Same point. Yeah, anyway, so with the worm, he would go through and basically, I guess you're supposed to like go through the room and unlock it. I think he finds a way so you can unlock the the door so you can get in somewhere. I don't know exactly all the details. That's all I know about it. And I think, like I said, the game files are actually in the game. Like, it's on the disc, but it's the game level was never finished, so it never came to be. So we're almost done with my first sit down to play through it, and I was very happy with it. And this is me just trying to force myself to remember what the guard button is. But yeah, this is like, I basically just wanted to see if the game really was the same, and this was my last test to see what that was on my first playthrough anyway. And I think if you played, you already know what I'm talking about, because I did exactly the same thing in the full play I did. And again, me trying to get used to the fact that I have to use the analog stick as opposed to the original, as opposed to the D-pad. It's just weird, like on the main game, like I want to use the analog stick, but when I use the... Not so much when I was redoing, I eventually just turned off the analog and went back to the D-pad, but... So, back to the original game. Back to the crypt, rather, and do the one secret that's there, the only thing that's worth returning to this place for. But hey, it's worth it. Yeah, you even get a little trophy for it. Yippee. So, yeah, in the end, that's truly the MediEvil on MediEvil, not Resurrection, dear God. The remake, remastering on PlayStation 4. If you're a fan of the original, I honestly do not think you'll be disappointed. Especially for $30, I personally think this is well worth the money versus other games out there. And in my opinion, it's wholeheartedly worth it. I'd play. This is a remastering I can actually get behind. Remastering / remake that I can very much appreciate long before many others. And I'm happy with it. If you're a fan of the original game, or if it even just piques your interest from my videos or any other videos you've probably seen that are probably better than mine, I'd say it's worth checking out. Yeah. I hope, if you're a fan, yeah, I don't think you'll be disappointed. You can skip the other ones. I think you'll be happier with this one.